Hello friends, welcome. Today in this lecture we will talk about the fundamentals of the economic, the one of the more concept, that is the types of the cost curves. In these we will talk about the various types of the cost curves and the short run and the long run cost curve. Let's start with it. Firstly we will talk about the fixed and variable cost curve. Before going into the curves, let's first understand what is a fixed and the variable cost. Variable costs are that cost which varies with the change in output. When we are increasing or decreasing the volume of the production, the output, the cost which varies with it is known as the variable cost, whereas fixed costs are that cost which do not vary with the volume of production. So this cost is known as a fixed cost, which is fixed, irrelevant to the volume of the production, whereas variable cost that varies with the change in the output. And the curve which shows the fixed and the variable cost is known as the fixed cost curve and the variable cost curve. Let's understand this with the help of the example. Here we have the quantity which is varying, that is increasing from 100 to 200, 200 to 300 until 400. But our fixed cost is here, it is $1,100 and it is same, and it is do not varying with the change in the volume of the production. At 100 it is 1800, at 400 also it is 1800. So fixed cost is the cost which is not varying with the change in the volume of the production, the output. Okay. Whereas variable cost, when we are increasing the quantity of the production of the output, the variable cost is also increasing. So this is known as the variable cost. And of course, when the variable cost is increasing with the change in the quantity of the output, the total cost is also increasing. Here we have the graph which shows the variable cost and the total cost. Here the 1800, we have the 1800 which is putting on to the graph here. At all the units, at all the quantity of output, we have the same cost. So it is the straight line cost curve. This is known as the fixed cost curve. This one. Okay. But variable cost is varying. This is our fixed cost. Till here we have the fixed cost, whether the production is happening or not happening. But when we are increasing some unit of output, our cost is increasing and the total cost is increasing from 2060 to 2240, 2400 and 2600. So it is increasing. At the when we are producing the 400 unit of output, our cost is 2600. So this curve is known as the total cost curve. Here, this is our variable cost. Okay. So this is about the total cost curve and variable cost curve. Okay. Here we have this one, we have the total cost curve and this is our fixed cost curve. This is our variable cost and this is a fixed cost curve. Fixed cost. Let's move on to the another cost, that is the marginal cost and average cost. We will talk about the marginal and average cost curve But before that we have the brief introduction of what is the marginal cost and the average cost. Here average cost is the per unit cost. How can we find out the average cost? That is the total cost divided by the output produced. Okay, total output. We have the total cost of 1200 units and we are producing the 60 units. Then the average cost per unit is 20 rupees. So this is the average cost. Whereas marginal cost is the additional cost incurred by the firm when the one additional unit is produced. For example, before we have the total cost as the 1200, but when we are producing 60 units, but when we are increasing our output from 1 unit, that is 61 from 60, and our cost is increasing from 1200 to 1300. So here the difference is of rupees 100. So this cost is known as the marginal cost. Here 100 is our marginal cost. So it is the additional cost incurred when the firm is producing additional unit of output. So this is about the marginal cost and the average cost. Let's understand this with the help of the graph and the table. Here we have our graph. When we have the output 1, 2, output is in the increasing order, and when we are increasing our output, increased output, the total cost is also increasing. Okay, it is of course when we are producing more, our total cost is also more. So when we are increasing our output, our total cost is also increasing. But it is not happening with the average and the marginal cost. We have understood about the average cost and the marginal cost. Here we have the total cost of 30. When the output is 1, it is 30. When the output is 2, it is 40, 45, 48, and it is in the increasing order. But it is shown into the graph also. Here we have this one, we have the average cost curve, and this is the marginal cost curve. Okay, in the starting, when the firm is producing when the firm is trying to produce more with the available resources and try to optimize the resources, their average cost and the marginal cost is decreasing. But after certain point, after certain point, the average cost and marginal cost is also increasing. But what's the relationship between the average cost and the marginal cost curve? Relation between average cost and the marginal cost curve. Here the marginal cost and the average cost is shown, cost curve is shown. Here let's understand this with the help of the graph or the table. When the average cost, when we have the total cost is 30, average cost and the marginal cost is same. But when the total cost is increasing, the average cost, when the output produced is increasing, the average cost is decreasing and the marginal cost is also decreasing. So when average cost is falling, when the average cost is falling, the marginal cost is also falls, but it is less than AC. Okay, so this is our relationship, first relationship. When the average cost is falling, here we can see this. When this is our average cost curve, when the average cost is falling, our marginal cost is also falling, but it is less than AC. So marginal average cost here is above than the marginal cost. This is the marginal cost. So marginal cost is less than the AC. Okay, and the second relation is when average cost curve is increasing, MC is also increasing, but it is higher than the AC. Okay, here AC starts increasing, so MC is also increasing, but it is higher than the marginal cost. Here we can see that after this point, after 10, the average cost is increasing, that is 12, 15, 20, 30, 45, etc. So when it is increasing, here when it is decreasing, marginal cost is also decreasing, and it is also less than the average cost. But when average cost start increasing, the marginal cost is also increasing. We can see that here it is 12, here marginal cost will become 22 and 32. So according to the average cost, it is increasing at a higher rate. That's why, that is the reason also that marginal cost curve cuts AC from the below, because at the first it is decreasing less than the AC, but when it is increasing, it is higher than the AC. So that's why also it is cuts AC from the below. And here this graph shows, this is about the relationship between average cost, marginal cost and the total cost. Here we have talk about the MC and AC and the TC, that is the total cost. Okay, so we also other concept of our is the average total cost, average marginal cost, and average variable cost, that is varying with the unit of output, that is the volume of output. Here the average total cost is the average of the total cost. Okay, total cost divided by the output produced, that is the average total cost. How to find the marginal cost, that is total marginal cost divided by the output produced, and the variable cost, that is the total variable cost divided by the output produced. So these way we can find out the average total cost, average marginal cost and the average variable cost. Let's understand this with the help of the graph itself. Here we have a graph in which we can understand the these three concepts, ATC, AMC and the AVC. This is our X and the Y axis. Here we have the quantity and here we have the cost of the production. So as we know, the marginal cost curve cuts from the below. It is in this way. Okay, and the total cost is falling, the average total cost is also falling irrespective of the output produced. So it is decreasing and it is in this way. So this is our AFC. Variable cost, it will also in the starting it will decreasing, but after that it will also increasing. This is our AVC. We can show it in this way. And the average total curve, that is here, because it is higher than all these cost. So this is our average total curve. So this is MC, ATC, AVC and AVC. We have understand this about the with the help of the graphical representation. Let's move on to the short run and long run cost curve. What is the short run and long run period? In the short run period, all the fixed factor that can be the capital, machinery, building, etc. cannot be altered. So this is known as the short run. Here we can vary our output with the help of the variable factor. Let's say labor, etc. Okay, so this is about the short run. Whereas in the long run, the fixed factor and the variable factor both can vary, and we can increase our output with any changes. So this period is known as the long run, and the cost incurred is known as the short run cost and the long run cost. In the short run cost, as we have seen, can alter output with the help of variable cost only. In the short run cost, we can alter our output with the help of the variable cost only, and we are trying to decrease our cost in the short run. And we have here in the short run, we have the different scale of operation to reduce our cost. So we have the short run average cost curve 1, short run average cost curve 2, 3, etc. Because we have the different scales of operation as we are changing the proportion. As we are changing the proportion, we have the different scale of the operation. Let's have the different scales of the operation in the short run cost curve. Here at this is our short run cost curve 1, this is 2, it's 3rd, 4th and 5th. We have the different cost curve as the cost, we have the proportion is altering. That's why we have the different scale of the operation. And at this point, we have the lowest cost, and firm would like to operate at this cost only. But as we know, in the short run we have this much, we have to go from here to there. This is the cost curve in the short run already. We can't do the production at the cheapest cost in the short run as it is the short run, because we cannot vary the fixed factor in the short period. But firm can change in the long run. Firm can produce output at lowest cost. Okay, and due to this, firm can produce at the lowest cost as the fixed factor and variable factor can alter. As we have facility to alter the fixed and the variable factor both, we can produce our good at the cheapest cost, and the curve of our will be like this way. It is at this point only. Okay, so this curve is known as the long run cost curve. But this curve is our short run average cost curve, whereas this is known as the long run cost curve. So student, we have talked about the various types of the cost curve, that is the marginal cost curve, average cost curve, the short run and the long run.